Well, hello there, partners, all your little doodads and dandies and stuff. I'm sorry, I can't do a cowboy accent. What's going on? We're back with another episode of the Bodacious Rant with your ever so handsome and loving host, Vernon Rye. And lately, what's been going on in my brain is that some of these seasons take way too long to come out in between. Like we back in the day, growing up, we used to have shows that would come out once a year, like early Game of Thrones and a bunch of other stuff. At least this one's no exception, but just a lot has happened in the last like year or so where it's like, man, there's a no, actually this one I think the first season came out 2024. Can't quite figure it out, but
I mean it was only a year between seasons, so
okay, it was a year
at all for this one, which is great. And, speaking on what you're talking about, where you
no,
have to wait
yeah.
years and years for seasons to come out, but this one luckily not.
I'm getting my calendars mixed up because we're in the beginning of 2026. This came out basically at the tail end of 2025, and then the other season came out early 2024. So yeah, you are right, Bernie. We are still within the year, but we're talking about one of the better video game adaptations out there. Even though we had a really horrible movie, Silent Hill. I'm not going to talk about it too much because I can't stand it. But we're talking about Fallout Season 2, which of course brings back Ella Purnell, Walton Goggins. I forget the guy's name from Twin Peaks and the Flintstones. Kyle MacLachlan, I think, is his name. And so on and so forth. Because we're doing a season review, we are going to get into our spoilers. So, me and Bern are just going to shoot out our rantings, our overall thoughts real quick. So, for those of you who haven't watched it at this point, come on back after you've watched the whole season, then jump on in with us. But, yeah, the first season was great. That was the one that really wanted me to get into the games like right away, even though they're not my style, and I still haven't played it, so that's just that. But I still really enjoyed this season. I think it expanded on what it needed to. Still had great production value and just great chemistry amongst the cast. So without spoiling it or getting into it, which I'll definitely do a little bit more deep dive shortly, I'm going to give this a hard 4 out of 5. Highly recommend this show. Again, it's only 2 seasons in on Amazon Prime. So if you still have your membership, definitely one of those shows to watch it. So yeah, 4 out of 5 for me. What about you, Bern? How did you feel about this season?
Yeah, I mean, I think this continues the trend established from the first season that this is by far one of the better video game adaptations we've gotten. Like you mentioned, it seems like we're still on that little bit of an edge where we're not quite done with the really bad adaptations, talking about Silent Hill and whatever happened there. So getting things like this, it feels still like a little bit of not a novelty, but it still feels like a little bit of a surprise, where it's like, oh wow, okay, we're actually getting really good, TV versions, movie versions of video game stories that we've played, and in this case. Things in the world that hadn't been already established. Again, this storyline that's this season is continuing on from season 1. Is completely new. This has anything that was like in the game. So this is new for new fans and for video game fans alike, and it seems to be pleasing both crowds. And I'm definitely a little bit in the middle of those crowds. Since the first season, I've gone and played Fallout New Vegas. Didn't finish the game, but I got about halfway through. Not because the game was bad or anything. It's just it is a little bit dated, so it was a little bit hard to play. But I did get enough of an understanding of New Vegas and the characters that are involved, and we got to see in this season. So that was a lot of fun. Whereas coming into the first season, I knew next to nothing about this series. So overall, I thought this was a very much a continuation of the first season in the sense that this is still very high quality. This is still a lot of fun. There are certain things that I feel like didn't land as hard as they did in the first season. Maybe because the novelty of it being new to me is gone. But overall, as a new Fallout fan, and I'm sure as a lot of longtime Fallout fans could attest, this was well worth the very short wait. So a 4 out of 5 for me as well.
That's awesome. And yeah, I think that does happen sometimes, like whether you play the game or read the book or maybe watch the series that turns into a movie or vice versa. It could take some of the novelty away, so that's very fair, Bern. I'm not surprised by that. But yeah, so both 4 out of 5 from me and Bern. We definitely think you guys should all watch it, but that's it for our non-spoiler aspect. Again, super quick, but we're going to get into the spoilers, like some of the things we liked and whatnot. Not that we're going to tell you guys everything that happened, but if you haven't seen it, it could spoil it for you. So jump on back in when you guys have caught up. But for those that are sticking around, let's get to the spoiler side, shall we? So let's just start off with the positives right away. Just because let's start on a good note. I still got to wash the Silent Hill taste out of my mouth because that movie is just burned into my brain in the worst way. So yeah, like I said, and good thing, Bern, I'm glad you clarified. I was going to ask you, like, have you played any of the games since then, just to refresh my memory? But I'm glad you played New Vegas. I mean, that did look pretty neat. I want to say that is definitely one of the more popular ones of that series, so that's awesome. I'm still super fresh in this. I literally am just going based off the show. I have no idea anything about Fallout, just because, like I said, I had a brief stint, I think, with Fallout 3 on PS3 or something, and I'm like, this is not for me. I just can't. I don't get the. I didn't feel the gameplay. I didn't get it, so I'm good. But I just like seeing some of the different directions that these characters are going. Like Ella Purnell's character and how she was just a very baby-eyed vault person just kind of roaming the wasteland. She still maintains that, but I like that this season we got more. She kind of got her hands dirty more, and she's embracing the wasteland lifestyle in a way. And Walton Goggins' character is the ghoul. It's great just to dig back more into his story and stuff, kind of clear things up with his wife from the last one, but also seeing how deep he got into it before the bombs fell. And then who's the actor that plays Titus? He kind of reminds me of like a young Denzel in a way. I can't think of his name, but
you mean Maximus? Aaron?
Oh, Maximus. Yeah, I'm sorry. I was thinking.
It's okay. I've made that same
Titus,
mistake a lot of times, thinking of him as Titus just because of the Warhammer thing. But
it's
Maximus,
Warhammer.
I have to remind myself.
It was Warhammer, but also rewatching season 1. That was the night.
Character, the night that he killed him was like pretending to be. Yeah, so I called him a Titus a lot too.
Which I also think is funny. It's like when the wasteland happens, it's like Mad Max and then this are perfect examples of how people really abuse and like confuse historical context, like how Mad Max really used like Valhalla and all this stuff, and it's like, dude, this is like it is in a way, but it's not the same shit at all. You're blending too many things together, and we kind of saw that with the episodes with the Legion and stuff, where they talk about the Kaiser, and it's like, the Kaiser. It's like it's CAE. It's Caesar, but again, it's the wasteland. But anyways, like I said,
the nod to Kaiser's Palace. Fantastic. So good.
That was a great episode. Just the one where they're running into the Legion, just seeing all the stupid shit they were talking about. But yeah, like I said, I just really appreciate the character work. I think it all felt very organic this time around. What did you think about the characters or the overall plot with this stuff, Bernie?
I think this was definitely more like a character-centric season. It feels very much like a second act, where it feels like, in terms of plot, not a lot really progressed, by the end of it. And we're in spoilers already, but like by the end of it, like Cooper still hasn't found his family. By the end of it, Maximus, now I'm doing it. But Maximus is still like in this weird place with the Brotherhood of Steel, and Lucy is still very like conflicted about like her father and stuff. So, in terms of like point A to point B type thing, yeah, they're in this new area of New Vegas, but in terms of like overall things that are happening, not much has moved in the needle of things, which felt a little bit disappointing at first. But this felt very much like a character centric season, where despite all those things that I said, we do get to see a little bit more from these characters. We do get to see how Maximus's faith, in the Brotherhood starts to fall apart, because it feels like they don't truly represent what he wants. But I mean, we got a little bit of that in the first season, but it's just continuing that. It feels like a little bit of a baby step on that sense. And with Lucy, again, by the end of it, like, I did like how they were sort of breaking her character down more and more as the season went on. Like you mentioned, she does murder people a few times here, some in self-defense and some in a drug-induced mania that she's going through.
That was a great one too. Just when he's like, you want drugs? Like, I think you'll like it. She's like, oh my God, I love it.
But where I knew that it did work for me was by the time we get to the end, there was a moment there where I thought maybe she might actually kill her dad. You know, might actually see him as this such, like too much of a monster to keep alive. You know, so I think that was really good character work within the writing. I think that was really well performed by Ella Purnell. So you know, although there wasn't these like grand changes in terms of what these characters are doing, I think character wise, I think it was a big step for her in that sense. And with Cooper, it does feel like a little bit of we're keeping the same carrot on the stick, so that's a little bit disappointing. Where it's like, okay, now he's gonna still go look for his family. We already got a whole 2 seasons of that. I wish we would have got a little bit more progression, but there's also part of me that's like, I am excited to see what the wasteland of Colorado looks like. I am excited to explore new territories. But for me, in terms of like his character stuff, it's all the stuff that we learned about like what actually went down with him and his wife. And, after that big reveal of last season where it's like, oh, we thought at the time she was one of the big masterminds behind why America got nuked. To kind of subvert that and add a little bit more dimension to make it like, oh, no, she wasn't exactly like what we thought she was. She was kind of like a lot of other people in this world, just sort of a cog in this machine that they just can't get out of. So I thought that was really, really well done. So all those aspects, I will say, were the ones that worked for me the most.
Yeah, and you definitely, with that little detail you pointed out, like how we find out that Cooper's wife was, it wasn't necessarily her idea to drop the bombs, but she was kind of like coerced or like, basically like threatened to do that. Like if you don't, then things could happen to you and your family. It definitely does justify your feelings with the whole. It's like a second act. Like it's slow progression with it. So I get you, and that's very fair. But yeah, like I said, I really like that stuff. I did like seeing some of the call. Again, I don't know too much about the game. I just know the cover was essentially the New Vegas Ranger, like the one of those guys that looks like the New California Republic group. So that was really cool to see that moment. And the one episode, the one creature I think that's become my new favorite in like sci-fi was the Death Claw. Because I remember when I started catching up with the season, because I'll kind of wait till to binge them and whatnot. I was like, what the hell is that thing? And it's like, turns out I am I wrong in assuming that that's also like a very like, if you see that creature in the game, you kind of need to like tuck tail and run or try and like kill it or what?
Yeah, I mean, unless you're geared out really well, you're not surviving an encounter with a Death Claw. Yeah, I thought they were depicted really well. Again, I didn't play the game much, only had a couple of run-ins with them, but every time I did, it felt like it was a battle. Like I'm using all my resources that I've accumulated to that point. So that was really fun, and I thought that they did really well with it. There were points where I thought maybe it's a puppet. I couldn't really tell if it was like puppet plus CGI, but the effects for the Death Claws I thought worked really, really well for me.
Oh, 100%. I think there were I think for some of the shots where it's not doing too much, like not moving around, I think they did utilize a puppet. I think I saw something online about that, but either way, that's the other thing I really appreciate with this show. Amazon very much like HBO and then Netflix in certain shows and stuff. They have a great production value. Like you really again, we're still sucked into it. Like seeing an apocalyptic Vegas or New Vegas, quote unquote. Seeing different parts of California as they get to that point and Nevada. It's just a fun, like you really get sucked into the world and the building that it keeps going in. So I really appreciate that, but overall, I hate to say it, I'm kind of blanking on the things I like with this. It was just another solid season for me, really. I don't really have any major complaints on it. While I'm blanking out, Bern, what else did you like about it? Let me gather my thoughts a little bit more.
I mean, I'll go ahead and shift over to things that really didn't land for me, because I think I've extended everything that I really did like. I mean, I liked all the main character stuff. I liked all the effects. Again, I think overall this is pretty well produced and really well put together. So I really can't speak to anything more that worked for me outside of the things I did already. But I think for me, like I wish the Norm storyline hit a little bit harder. Her brother and like and the things that were going on with that sort of group of like management, vault dwellers. I enjoyed it when it was happening, and it leaves a really fun mystery of like what's going to happen next. What were these experiments, and then the stuff that was going on with I'm blanking on her name, Stephanie. Yeah, Stephanie. Where what is the things she's doing? Like what is her plan with that new step? Like what's gonna happen? So again, it ends in a place where I'm like, okay, I'm really interested in seeing what happens next. But with the way that the story was kind of like being intercut, it just there were times where I would forget, where oh that's right, this storyline is happening. Oh okay, that's right, the brother's doing this at this point. Oh, and she's doing this at this point. The whole incest storyline that was going on in the season. It was one of those things where like unless we were cutting back to it, there were things that like I wasn't really like they weren't in my mind, and that's I think a little bit of a downside because it felt like in the first season a lot of these side plots were very interesting where I was like, oh, I can't wait to go back to see what was going on here and what more are we going to learn from this other part. Here I didn't really care too much about those other things, and that's not to say that the story themselves aren't bad because again they end in a place where I'm like interested in seeing what happens. But in the moment I was like, oh that's right, oh yeah, okay, I guess let's see what's going on with them. So that for me felt a little bit disappointing. I don't know how those things worked for you, but for me it was just one of those like, oh okay, now we're here, cool, let's see what's going on. But I wasn't really invested, if that makes sense.
Yeah, no, that's very fair. I do agree that I'm gonna go as far as to even say some of the side plots, like the as funny as it was and how it was kind of adding on to the dire like the complexity of the vault after what happened in season one, like the incest children of incest group was kind of like it had some comedic relief, but it was very unmemorable because I was watching the last one. I was like, wait, what happened with that group? I know Leslie Uggams' character shut it down and stuff, but that was it. We're not going to really know what happens with that. I did like that we saw what Stephanie's origins, because I remember last season I thought it was like, okay, she's just someone who kind of snapped after the violence in like the first episode, but it's like, no, we're really peeling back the layers. So that is the kind of flaw with some of these series, is that they either jump to things really quick or they really keep peeling back layers to the point where, like you said, Byrne, it's just, what was the point of this? Like, we didn't really change anything from last season. We're still kind of in the same predicament. But I guess the only thing that for me is that I can't put my finger on it, but aside from like the kind of forgettable like moments and subplots, I mean, it just, there was something there wasn't the whole novelty that we had from the last one. Like, this season was still really good, but the last one was like one of those things like, man, this is such a cool world, I want to jump into this, like figure out a game or something. I didn't get that from this one, so I don't know if that's maybe because the novelty wore off or something, but I just thought it was good. And it's just, for me, I think the first one is still a little bit better in some aspects, especially I think the action in more ways was a little bit better in the last one, or at least the finale was a little bit more action packed than this one. But other than that, I think it was still a solid season, but nothing I can really, like, without being too nitpicky, just really be negative on. You know what I mean?
Mm-hmm. And let me ask you this too: does by the end of this season, where the show where this season ends, right, where the Legion's marching into New Vase, do they really feel like a legitimate threat to you? Because for me, that didn't really feel like the sense of like, oh no, trouble's coming. That I think they kind of wanted it to be, where it just felt like, this whole season we're kind of seeing them infighting. We see how kind of like dumb their internal like struggle is with themselves.
The Kaiser.
To me, yeah, the whole Kaiser thing. Macaulay Culkin, he was a lot of fun seeing, so that was definitely a positive for me. And Kumail Nanjiani, seeing him too, for the brief minutes that we saw him, just brought that sense of like, oh okay, like the higher ups are really kind of just these pompous a-holes who don't really understand what's going on. I mean, we see much of the Brotherhood is kind of dumb, and they're being led by kind of dumb people too. So that was interesting. But yeah, to me, the Legion as I don't know if they're trying to set them up as being like the main antagonist of the next season, but to me they don't really feel like that much of a real threat. Not like Robert House was in this season. I thought he was really great. I'm blanking on the
Justin
actor's
Theroux.
name. Justin Theroux.
He was
yeah.
great. Yeah, I liked him as Robert House. He was
Yeah, Justin
awesome.
Theroux was really cool. That whole story kind of brought in some like really like fun Cold War era like spy thriller vibes with him and Coop. So that was a real big positive of this season. So I will say that for sure. It's just I don't know if the Legion is going to be as interesting as a follow up. I think I don't know what you think about it.
So what I took the way this ended, and again because like last one, it's like we ended with the Brotherhood of Steel getting control of the cold fusion power. So that was like the first move in the chessboard of like the power shifting and stuff like that. The hierarchy is about to change, Bernie. It I don't think the Legion's necessarily a threat. The only thing that would be threatening is that they do have strength in numbers compared to everybody else. They still have swords, they still have some armor pieces. So I feel like it's gonna be a hierarchy of threat levels. Like Legion, probably like level 1. They're gonna be a problem for regular people, but at the same time it's like I forgot. I think the Legion did have guns too. I don't remember, but it's like, yeah, go up against regular people with guns. You guys aren't gonna last long. But then with the events that happened with Maximus and the Brotherhood of Steel and the Enclave, we're definitely gonna. I think we are gonna start seeing more powered like Brotherhood legions getting after it. So I think that's what I got, was like setting the stage of like it's gonna be total chaos next season. At least that's what I'm expecting.
Yeah, that sort of makes sense. Again, that also kind of plays into this season being sort of a stepping stone, where it feels like, okay, this is more of like an arms race going on before the bigger like conflicts that are we're speculating to come in season 3. So yeah, that makes a little bit more sense when you put it that way, where it's like, okay, yeah, all these chess pieces are being moved around in this season. It's just might not be interesting at this point, but later on down the line, it could be a little bit more of a threat, I guess.
Yeah, and the other thing I guess the other positive that just popped in my mind is like I do appreciate the commentary on like what corporate capitalism and like the endless machine that it creates, because the Legion and the Brotherhood of Steel, it's like we're all just cogs, but the Enclave is definitely the main antagonist for the next one, especially when Robert House kept telling Coop, I am not the worst threat. You can think that, but I'm in the machine too. He was that villain that very much like a Bond villain, where he was kind of after his own thing, his own mentality and his own ambitions, but again, he's also just another piece on the board. But it definitely gave a lot of justification that the Enclave has really been behind everything. So I am curious to see how that's going to end. But yeah, it essentially, that's also the kind of thing that's been getting at me with some of these seasons. As good as they are, I hate that it's like they keep following like the same beats in a way. Like the last episode, as great as it was, still very similar to the last one, where it's a big action thing. Some reveals are happening, but we're still left like with questions of like what is going to happen, what's going on. Not that I want him to complete it. Like I definitely could see this going on for a few more seasons, but it's like some more progression would be nice. So I agree with your sentiment. The more we're talking about it.
Yeah, just a little more sense of a completed piece. I know these seasons, because it's been more of a thing with these streaming shows, where it feels like, oh, okay, they know that another season is down the line, so they don't have to wrap things up now. I think that kind of like it sometimes takes away a little bit from the storyline that's being told now, because it feels like there's no sense of finality to this season of TV, where it can kind of stand on its own, where now season 3 kind of has to pick up, where this one leaves off, and depending on how good that does, it's going to inform, how people look at this season as a whole later down the line, when really I would just want these things to kind of like stand on their own, not to say not to leave breadcrumbs and hint at things to come, But let's just kind of wrap these things up in the moment that we have now, which I think season 1 did a little bit better than this one. But again, the quality is still there. I think this season is still really good. It might seem like I'm being a little bit more negative than I think, but I really enjoyed this 8 episodes of TV. Again, gave it a 4 out of 5. So don't want anyone to take my nitpicks as me hating the show by any means. It's still really, really good.
No, we're being straight up just nitpicky on it. Like, given we could be super positive to say there's nothing wrong, but if there wasn't anything wrong, it'd probably be a 5 out of 5. And even then, there's still something we could pick at. Like, random thought when I was watching the last few episodes, I think the best intro that we've had for a show in a while was Welcome to Derry. Just that song was so catchy and the graphics were so, like, on point. That Fallout, I think it's more of like when the ending credits would come on and how it has like the class a song and then the images. I was like, Derry was still better. But that was just a random thought I had. I just had to get that off my chest. But yeah, other than that, I don't really have anything against the show. When it comes back on, I hope we don't wait another year for it. That will kind of suck. But at the same time, the way this one finished off at the end, like beginning of this year, we'll probably have to wait till 2027 unless they get cracking on it now. But yeah, still really enjoyed it. The only other shows for Amazon I'm looking forward to at this point are the last season of The Boys and Invincible season 4, which is coming out this year too. So we got those to satisfy us for the most part until next one.
Yeah, I mean, I'm definitely looking forward to those shows. Looking forward to season 3 of this show. I'm excited to see where these although this season itself wasn't as interesting, I'm very interested in the things they set up. So I'm very much looking forward to seeing what they do next. But yeah, that's where I stand on it.
Yeah, like I think for season 3, I would definitely want us to keep seeing more creatures in the wasteland because we had like those giant like salamander looking fish or something that had like fingers for teeth. Those were pretty cool. We had the Deathclaw this season. We got the Brotherhood of Steel, and then Coop's custom power suit, which was his improvements in custom look for that one. And actually, I like that suit, his NCR suit, looked way more functional than the regular Brotherhood of Steel ones. Like I don't know what it was. Like I think I had to be an intentional design, or maybe just because it was custom, it's like, yeah, it looks better already. You know what I mean?
Yeah, I mean it was a fun payoff to the seed and I think it was in the finale of last season where he's talking about the flaw within the armor. So it was a cool payoff to see. It's like, oh, okay, like he actually like made modifications and stuff and to make his life better after we saw that flashback of him fighting and coming across a Deathclaw for the first time. That was a lot of fun, and seeing Maximus operate that thing and fight some Deathclaws was really cool. And again, seeing the NCR Ranger was really sick too. I hope to see like some more of them in the next season because that was a lot of fun. That iconography is really sick.
Yeah, I guess that's what I've liked about this show is like seeing the suit, because that was what drew me to want to play Fallout first, is like seeing the mech suit on the cover and then seeing the NCR Ranger and his suit. I was like, oh, that's the cover for New Vegas. Like that's just awesome. So
and also, what's happening to Thaddeus? He is definitely not a ghoul.
No, I don't. I mean, essentially, we are. That's another thing I actually like, that we got to see that there's not just ghouls, but there's also mutants in the wasteland. So I want to see. Yeah. So I definitely want to see how that's gonna flesh itself out. No pun intended. Just because Coop is on his own again. I am bummed that relationship broke up. That Coop and Luce are no longer partners in crime, but there were some reconcilable differences with them, just philosophies and all that stuff. So that's totally fair. But him running in that super mutant, I was like, this will be interesting to see next one. Like, who is he going to stand by? Like, is he going to find his family and join the mutants? Are Maximus and Lucy are they going to help bring peace to the wasteland? Again, great things can happen, and so far the writing team has been on point. So yeah, like you, I'm definitely looking forward to season 3.
Yeah, for sure. I'm very much looking forward to it. I hope to see some more cool stuff. Again, still not familiar with a lot of the games. I think I'll still keep it that way unless there's any sort of developments. But having a little bit more knowledge or a little bit more familiarity with the things coming into this season was a lot of fun. So I imagine the fans are having a ton of fun with this series so far.
Oh, 100%. Again, as a fan of the games, I really like this show. This is just another fun one to watch. But yeah, so that's basically it for the spoilers. Unless, Burn, there's something else, maybe another aspect. Like, did you like the score? Were there any effects that caught your mind aside from the Deathclaw stuff?
I mean, just the musical bits that we got from like you mentioned, the end credits sometimes throughout the show. The big iron on his hip action sequence in the first episode was a ton of fun. The soundtrack of New Vegas, them sprinkling that into here was a real treat. And again, I didn't finish the game, but I imagine a lot of the fans had as much fun with that as I did, because it's just fun hearing all those little winks and nods to the games.
100%. I think this is definitely one of the better sci-fi shows to bring back the nostalgia of like the 50s and 60s while also keeping it futuristic. Like, it definitely feels like its own universe that you want to jump into. So yeah, that's all we got from me and Burn. Again, you have Amazon. This is definitely one of those shows to binge whenever you get the chance, because both seasons are done for now. So for those who are liking it and just starting it, you just gotta wait with us till we do there's a season 3. We'll all join in on that one again. But until next time, everyone, stay bodacious and keep on ranting for us.
Absolutely, everybody, be good, be safe, and as always, we'll catch you all on the next one.